There is a pair of Levi's 501s in your closet right now worth $300. You probably paid $30. The factory that made that denim, Cone Mills in Greensboro, North Carolina, closed in 2017. That exact fabric cannot be produced anymore. The looms are gone. And those jeans are not the only thing in your closet worth more than you think. 9 brands from the 90s that you should never throw away. Not only because they are trendy again, but because what they made back then is better than what they sell today for more money. The number 1 brand on this list does not even exist in its original form anymore. What you have is the last of it, plus one 90s brand that feels like it belongs here but does not. One thing to understand about the 90s. Most of these companies were still manufacturing domestically or in a small number of tightly controlled factories overseas. They released 2 collections per year, not the 52 micro drops we see now. That meant slower production, higher material budgets, and construction that was built to last because the brand's name depended on it. That era ended around 2001. What you still have from it may be the best version of that brand that will ever exist. Number 9. Levi's. If you have a pair of Levi's with a Made in USA label, do not donate them. We mentioned Cone Mills in the opening, but the weight is what you need to understand. Those jeans were cut from 14-ounce denim. Current Levi's use 10 to 11-ounce denim from factories in Bangladesh and Vietnam. Pick up both pairs, and the weight difference tells the whole story. One detail collectors look for is the hem. 90s Levi's were finished with a chain stitch, which creates a subtle roping effect on the cuff over time. Current Levi's use a lock stitch that lies flat and never develops that character. Vintage made in US. A 501s now sell for $200 to $400 on resale sites. Check your label before you check your donation pile. To be fair, not every pair from the 90s was made in USA. By the mid-90s, Levi's had started moving production overseas. The label tells you everything. You might not think a pair of old jeans is worth much, but what you are about to hear about a certain blazer might change your mind about everything else in that closet. Number 8. Talbots. 90s Talbots blazers were fully lined, fitted with real horn buttons, and cut from a heavier wool blend than anything in their current collection. Pick up a Talbots blazer from today and one from 1996, and the difference hits you instantly. The old one feels like a blazer. The new one feels like a cardigan pretending to be one. Flip the old blazer inside out, count the stitches along a seam. 90s Talbots ran 12 to 14 stitches per inch. More stitches per inch means stronger seams and a garment that holds its shape through years of dry cleaning. Current Talbots uses fewer stitches, thinner fabric, and plastic buttons where horn used to be. I have a Talbots blazer from 1997 that still gets compliments every time I wear it. That blazer is older than some of my colleagues' children, and it still looks better than what is on the Nordstrom floor right now for $200. Talbots was where you went on the weekend, but the next brand was where you went to work. Number 7. Ann Taylor. In 1998, Ann Taylor split into 2 lines, Ann Taylor and Loft. That split was the beginning of the end. Before the split, Ann Taylor was one brand with one standard. Fully lined blazers, heavy silk blouses, Italian wool trousers. When you walked into an Ann Taylor store in 1994, everything on that floor was made to the same level. If you worked in corporate America in the 90s, this was the brand that made you feel ready for the boardroom without spending Armani prices. Current Ann Taylor uses polyester blends, partial linings, and lighter fabrics across the board. An Ann Taylor blazer with a full satin lining and real buttons would cost you $300 to replace today, if you could find one at all. One note. The wool pieces from that era are the real keepers. The silk items are more fragile. Check for yellowing along the collar and underarms before wearing them again. From the corner office to the mailbox. The next brand arrived at your door. Number 6. Land's End. Sears bought Land's End in 2002. The cost reduction started almost immediately. But before that, Land's End was the catalog you trusted. It arrived in your mailbox and you dog-eared the pages. Canvas bags heavy enough to hold a week of groceries without the handles stretching. Fleece thick enough to wear as a jacket in October. Turtlenecks that kept their shape and color after 50 washes. And a guarantee that said 2 words. Guaranteed. Period. You could return anything, at any time, for any reason. Without a receipt and without a single question asked. They could make that promise because their products actually lasted long enough to back it up. Under Sears, the quality dropped, the catalog shrunk, and the guarantee eventually tightened. If you have Land's End fleece or canvas from the 90s, it was made to outlast you. Treat it accordingly. Everything so far has been clothing. But the next item is not a garment. It is probably sitting on a shelf in your closet right now, and it might be the most valuable thing on this entire list. Number 5. Coach. A small group of leather artisans started Coach in a Manhattan loft in 1941. By the 1990s, Coach bags were made from glove-tanned cowhide in their New York City workshop. Thick leather, solid brass hardware, no logo pattern anywhere. Each bag went through dozens of hands during production, and the leather was built to develop a rich patina that got more beautiful with every year you carried it. Then came the outlets. After 2001, Coach opened hundreds of outlet stores selling lower-cost bags covered in the now famous C-pattern logo canvas. Production moved to Vietnam and the Philippines. The leather got thinner, the hardware got lighter, the whole idea of what Coach meant changed overnight. Old Coach leather ages like wine. New Coach leather shows wear within 2 seasons. If your bag has a Made in New York City stamp and a solid brass turn lock, it is worth more now than what you paid for it. Vintage Coach sells from $150 to $500 depending on the model. Do not donate it. Do not store it in a plastic bag because leather needs to breathe. Stuff it with tissue paper, keep it in a cotton dust bag, and let it age the way it was designed to. After our last video, a woman in the comments said she went straight to her closet and found 3 items from the list. That is why we put everything into one guide. 52 brands scored and ranked with a quality check you can do in 60 seconds. Some of the brands you bought in the 90s still hold up. Some do not. The link is right below in the description. The remaining 4 brands share something in common. Each one had a specific moment when the quality changed. A year you can point to. A decision someone made. And once you know that year, you know exactly which version of the brand to keep. Number 4. Ralph Lauren. 90s, Ralph Lauren used real wool, heavy peak cotton, and Italian knit sweaters. Hold a 90s polo shirt next to a current one, and you will feel the difference before you see it. The old collar stands up on its own. The new one wilts after one wash. Today, most of what carries the Ralph Lauren name is licensed. Other companies pay for the label and produce to their own cost targets. A shirt from one licensee might be decent. The same label from a different licensee might be thin and poorly finished. The brand name used to guarantee consistency. It does not anymore. Ralph Lauren in the 90s dressed you. Ralph Lauren now decorates you. One caveat. The Chaps line was always the budget tier, even back then. Not everything with a polo horse was premium. Check which label you actually have. The next brand had a similar arc, but the turning point was not a licensing deal. It was one man walking out the door. Number 3. J. Crew. Mickey Drexler built J. Crew into what it was. He left in 2014. That is the dividing line. Before 2014, J. Crew used heavier roll-neck cotton, genuine Italian wool, and a stitch density that held garments together for years. Their cashmere sweaters from that era are thicker and denser than what they sell today for $128. J. Crew now sells the story of their old quality at the price of their old quality without the old quality. The catalogs still look premium. The garments do not feel premium. They have gotten thinner, lighter, and less durable with each passing year. If you have J.Crew cashmere or wool from before 2014, you own a product from a different company that happened to share the same name. J.Crew changed their standards quietly. The next brand changed their promise publicly, and it told us everything. Number 2. L.L.Bean. For over 100 years, L.L.Bean had a lifetime unconditional guarantee. You could return anything at any time for any reason. Boots you bought in 1987. A flannel your husband wore through the entire Clinton administration. Did not matter. They took it back and replaced it. Leonwood Bean started that guarantee for a reason. His very first product, a hunting boot, had a 90% return rate. 90 out of 100 pairs came back defective. Instead of giving up, he fixed the boot and promised to stand behind everything he made forever. That promise defined the company for a century. In 2018, they changed it to 1 year. They did not change it because customers were abusing it. They changed it because the new products could not survive it. 90s Bean boots are practically indestructible. The rubber is thicker, the leather is fuller, the stitching is tighter. Women are wearing 30-year-old Bean boots right now that still keep their feet dry. If your L.L.Bean from the 90s is still in good shape, it already proved it can last a lifetime. The company just stopped making that promise for everything else. Every brand on this list changed gradually. The next one did not. It disappeared overnight. Number 1. Eddie Bauer. Eddie Bauer, the man, nearly froze to death on a fishing trip in the 1930s. He survived, went home, and invented the first patented down jacket in America. That jacket saved pilots' lives during World War II. That is the pedigree behind the brand. By the 1990s, Eddie Bauer made premium goose down jackets with some of the highest fill power ratings on the market, heavy flannel shirts built for a decade of weekends, and canvas field bags designed for actual field work. In 2003, the company filed for bankruptcy. New owners bought the name, cut costs across the board, and relaunched. Lower fill power in the jackets, thinner flannel, cheaper hardware. The brand still exists. The philosophy does not. If you have an Eddie Bauer down jacket from the 1990s that still has its loft, that jacket is warmer than most new parkas selling for $500. Higher fill power traps more air, and more air means more warmth. They stopped using that grade of down years ago. This is the only brand on the list that does not exist in its original form. What you have is the last of it. Now, the one 1990s brand that feels like it belongs here but does not. Banana Republic, specifically their silk pieces. Banana Republic looked expensive in the 90s, but looking expensive and being well-made are two different things. Their silk was lightweight and not particularly well-finished compared to the wool and cashmere from the other brands on this list. Silk also ages differently than everything else we have covered. It yellows. It becomes brittle. It loses its sheen. Even with careful storage, silk from 25 years ago is often past its useful life. Hold a 90s Banana Republic silk blouse up to the light. If you can see through it, the fiber has broken down. The wool, the leather, and the cashmere from the other 9 brands age beautifully. Silk simply does not. 9 brands. 9 closet items that are better than what those same companies sell today for more money. The 1990s were not a golden age for fashion. They were a golden age for construction. The proof is hanging in your closet right now. Go check. Then come back and tell us what you found. What brand, what year, what condition. We would love to hear what you still wear from the 1990s and how it has held up. Subscribe so you do not miss what comes next.